One of Stellenbosch's most beloved wineries that once heralded a new era for South African wine has been transformed. After many months of quiet industry and studious realignment, Stellenzicht returns to introduce the first vinous progeny under a new hand. And that new hand is the talented winemaker, Lerae Burger, who joins me now. Welcome, Lerae.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
A lot of dramatic changes, a lot of exciting times over the last 3 and a bit years. Tell us what's been going on here at Stellenzicht.
So we've spent a lot of time in the past 3 years really investing in both the cellar and the vineyards. The Stellenzicht originally was built the cellar in the late 80s. So for us, we spent a lot of time investing in kind of bringing the winery back into the 21st century with technology and giving us more options for fermentation. But then also we focused a lot on the vineyards and the replanting of the vineyards. We spent a lot of time with Eben Archer and David Simon, the late Eben Archer and David Simon, to really look at the site and having a look what would work best. So kind of reimagining the farm almost and really looking at it as a whole, looking at it very holistically and deciding then what would work where, which varieties, which sites.
And I believe that in the process of that replanting, something unusual emerged. And that was a major influence on the cultivars that you've chosen for the farm. Tell us about that light bulb moment, if you will.
So we did a lot of soul searching. We looked at the history of the farm. And while that was going on, we were starting to get ready to plant and prep soils for planting. And so as we were prepping the soils, we kept on picking up these very interesting rocks. I'd never seen them in my life before. And after a bit of further research, we realized these were Achillean hand axes. So Achillean hand axes, Achillean refers to the period within the Stone Age where they first started to really kind of chip off and make their hand tools rather than just using a sharp object. And these hand axes were, we were picking them up by...
That's incredible.
Yeah, by the dozens. And then it kind of, how it kind of tied in with the history research that was going on in the background was there was this one title deed that said, in the late 1800s, it said Stellenzicht was only good to cultivate, or it was not good to cultivate any crops. It's only good for cattle because it had too many rocks. And it was so ironic that the one thing that we were seeing here and got so excited about, and the potential of the soil and these rocks, that's been the one thing that's been there the whole time. It's been our history.
And so you've settled on Cabernet Sauvignon, Shiraz, Cinsault, and Chardonnay as the cultivars of choice. Would you mind sharing with us a little bit about your winemaking philosophy? I believe you embrace traditional vinification.
Yeah, so after our thorough research of the sites, we really settled on those 4 varieties. And it was really interesting, once again, looking at the history of the Helderberg. Those are the varieties that traditionally did very well on the Helderberg. So we've got these lovely north-facing slopes, lots of sunshine, and with our rocky soils that we have, Shiraz, Cinsault, they love rocks. And it's all about, once you've established really good terroir, really good pockets on the farm and in the vineyard, it's just respecting that terroir, and you can taste and in harvest time when you walk through vineyards, you can already start tasting those flavors, and it's really about respecting that and bringing out the best in the fruit rather than making the wine. So we're very respectful of that. It's a very close bond between myself and our viticulturist Niku, and in really understanding the pockets within vineyards and how we're going to harvest it and treat it and ferment it. So we try not to over extract too much. We kind of stick to just some pump overs 2 to 3 times a day, and really kind of having the grapes dictate what should happen to the wine rather than just kind of headstrongly, rushing through it and just doing what we think should be done. And it's been a big learning experience because as these vineyards develop, we're finding different pockets and different areas where we're excited about small little bits within blocks. So yeah, it's been a great been a great learning experience and really excited to see what the rest of the farm holds for us as we continue replanting new vineyards.
Well, this Chardonnay that you've passed to me is rocking, if you'll excuse the pun. Lorraine actually showed me some of the boulders, not just small rocks, but boulders that came out of the ground a little higher up there. You have 3 ranges of wine on offer in the portfolio. Would you mind just giving us a brief overview of that offering, please?
Sure. So starting with the Killian range, that's our flagship wines. That's kind of the top expression of the farm. Moving on to our varietal range, so we've got the Tristan Cabernet, the Aronite Syrah, and the Sill Creek Cinsault. And these are essentially the building blocks of the Achillean red blend. And then the Thunderstone is a very cool story. So these Achillean hand axes, kind of the story goes that before they knew what these Achillean hand axes were, they thought that it's what happens to the rocks when lightning strikes it, and that the lightning actually shapes it. And so the Dutch used to call it dondersteentjies, which translate into thunderstone.
It's wonderful that the story that you're telling through your wine is coming from the terroir already in so many different ways. With this rebirth of the farm, we see a rebirth of the brand. And I wanted to ask you about the meaning of the dragonfly on your labels.
Oh, yes. So we really believe in sustainable farming. And essentially with a sustainable farming, we're trying to kind of close loops. So our effluent water from the cellar gets treated, it goes to the dam, it gets used for irrigation again. Our kind of grape waste that we get during harvest goes in the compost heap. We decompost it, and that compost goes back into the vineyards as well. So really trying to close our loops. The other thing we've really spent a lot of time on the past 3 years, and we will continue to do, it's an ongoing effort due to the size of the farm, is really to re-establish the natural flame bores. As we've been going on and really being careful of our footprint on and the way we farm, we started seeing this dragonfly come back. A lot of wildlife, a lot of bird life as well, but the dragonfly. And so the dragonfly, what's very interesting about it is it will go away if its natural habitat's under threat, like with alien vegetation and things. And then it comes back once nature is back in balance. And so that to
so
me
it rewards you almost.
Yes, and so that was to me was a great great symbol of just where we're heading. It's this, this continuous pursuit of balance, and not just in the way we farm, but the style of wines we're making. We're really trying to find balance in our wines and in our vineyards. So it's kind of, if the rocks symbolize our history, the dragonfly really symbolizes our future.
It's genius of you, because they are extremely sensitive to environmental changes. So I think it's great that you're using them as a yardstick to your environmental balance. We thank you for your time today, Lorraine. I know you've been very busy, and may the ancient heritage and pedigree of Stellenzicht reach new heights under your watch. Of course, if you would like, as our valued supporters, to get in touch, we ask you to share the Stellenzicht journey by connecting with the winery on social media, and you can do that at Stellenzicht Wines on Facebook and on Instagram at Stellenzicht. Or you can sign up for the Stellenzicht newsletter at stellenzicht.com. Cheers.
Cheers.